Hey, this is Steve Lukather, and you are watching Toasted. Believe me, been toasted many times myself.
Hey, you got a new album out, Steve.
Yeah.
Welcome to Amsterdam, man.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here in my home away from home. I love the city. I love this hotel. I'm just, I know it well.
You're not too fond of the temperature, though, right?
Oh, this isn't bad. Are you kidding me, man? This is you guys. It's warmer here than normal for you guys.
Beats Alaska for
Look
sure.
at you. You got a T-shirt on.
Of course, this is the best album you ever made.
You think so? Thank you. I've tried real hard on it, but it's almost cliche. It's every time somebody puts out a new album, it's my best thing I've ever done. It's the best version of me today. I'm proud of it. It came out really well. I guess it's up to you guys now.
Well, we've been listening to it all day, and actually, I was really chuffed to get the album in front of a lot of other people. When I told them I have the new Steve Lukather album, they were like, "What? That's only due to 2013."
Oh, wow. I'm flattered that people care.
Well, they do.
Right on.
Great artwork.
That's not the artwork. It's the pre-promotion, which, by the way, if you put it on a torrent site, you'll be arrested.
Well, the sound quality in your album is fantastic. Actually, I thought it was... First time I listened to it, I was like, this is a real clean sound. It's not overproduced. It's not really a big sound. Then I read your press release and said, well, I want to have a big sound.
Well, a big sound compared to what? I mean, there's a lot of music going on. There's a lot of production in the sense of colors, sound, and it's not necessarily like 8 million tracks of everything. But, I mean, and I didn't compress it at the end. A lot of people compress their mixes to the stereo bus, which makes everything, these cymbals sound a little squashy, like the sucking sound like this to make it louder. Now, dynamically, I like it when a record gets quiet and all of a sudden, boom, your head gets blown back when another dynamic section comes in. Full bottom on the bottom end and nice crisp top on the top, and having room to breathe. And that's a mix move. That's a choice you make, actually. It's more like the old analog vinyl records that had that dynamic range on. I tried to go for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned a couple of fantastic albums, Sgt. Pepper's, Dark Side of the Moon. Are those actually your favorite records?
Those were life-changing records to me.
What
From a production, I mean, prior to that, you have to understand, like, I grew up in an era, there was nothing called retro. Everything was happening in real time. Yeah. So if somebody would make a brilliant album like a Dark Side, you go like, these were otherworldly sounds. How did they make these sounds? Now you can go on the internet and find out the secrets to everything. Yeah, I mean, you can find out the secrets to every magic trick that's out there, you know. So is there really any secrets anymore? Is there any? Sure, we all know that you don't actually saw the lady in half, but it kind of, you want to have the fantasy that maybe it really did happen. Same thing with music. I mean, I like big produced records that are, you know, sonically experimental and take you on a little journey rather than just 3-minute loud bang your face. Here it is, you know, people screaming at you all the time.
When I read that, I imagined you as a kid, 7 years old, somewhere in California, strumming your first guitar, your acoustic guitar, and then last year, you toured with Ringo, and you played with McCartney, and you played with George Harrison. Mm-hmm. That must, I mean, that's like unreal.
It is surreal. My life is completely surreal. I mean, what's surreal is I'll get a text from Ringo. You know, it's like, you know, and it really is Ringo. You know what I mean? I mean, he's my friend. You know what I mean, he's one of the most sweetest, most intelligent, soulful people. I mean, he's a mentor. You know, I look to him how to grow old gracefully, how to handle yourself gracefully. I mean, one of the most famous people on planet Earth, and a gentle, beautiful, kind, giving soul. You know, had the honor of working with Paul years ago, and George and I became friends for this few-year brief period of time. I saw a whole lot of him. And then when he got stabbed, I kind of lost touch, and then he got sick. And I would hear from Jim Keltner would say, "Hey, George, said to say hi to you. You know, he's not really seeing anybody right now, but he wanted me to tell you that he was thinking of you." And I was deeply touched by that. I mean, because George was my first guitar hero. And, you know, and just having it come full circle like that is, you know, I've been on the road for 36 years, been making records for a long time, and seeing it come and go, and the album's called Transition. It is really kind of a transition from my youth craziness to kind of growing up as a more mature man, looking at life differently and more appreciating it more now with a clear mind, body, and soul, and another lease on life, you know.
Clear mind, body, and soul? What do you mean? You don't drink, you don't use drugs, you don't do anything anymore?
I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do anything. You reach a point where it's not fun anymore. You know, I mean, every night's Saturday night when you're on the road. You know what I mean? For most people, they have a night out once a week, and it's not a problem. It's not a big deal. I felt that it was affecting my life, so one day I just stopped. There was no big, oh, I had to go away somewhere, or I go to AA meetings or anything like that. I don't begrudge people that need to do this. God bless them. I have a lot of friends that are on the program, and it works for them. But for me, one day I said, you know what? This is the last hangover I want to have. You get to a certain age, the hangovers are brutal. You know that. When you're 20 years old, you're bulletproof. You can get up and say, thank you, may I have another? But you get to be 50, man. When I hit 50, that's kind of like when it started to get a little rough for me. You know, I felt that my playing was affected. I felt that I looked bad. I was puffy and blotchy, and I just didn't feel good. I had no energy, so I just kept trying to party through it. It was ugly, you know. And there's nothing like the internet to remind you of every little wart that you've ever done in your life. It's truly brutal, man. People can be so mean, man. You know, and it really affected me because I'm a really hypersensitive person.
You have a lot of careers, actually. I mean, you're a session musician, and of course, you're a successful solo artist. You were in a famous band. Normally, people just go for their own agenda, right? What's the fun of being a session musician? I mean,
first off, the session thing is dead. I mean, I haven't done it really in 20 years, but in the heyday of it, it was fantastic. I mean, you go to work and, you know, in the afternoon I play with Aretha Franklin. At night I play with Alice Cooper. I mean, here I am doing this diverse, crazy stuff with legendary artists, and I'm learning from them, and I'm giving of myself to the music and collaborating in that. I mean, that's insane. I mean, when I was a little kid, if you'd have told me that I would have said, wow, that's an unattainable dream. But the dream came true. I worked very hard at it and became good at it. It's not something you can really learn. You have to be able to have the mentality. It's not just learning the chops, you know, or learning how to play. The adaptability and change and under pressure and being so creative that you have to throw out 10 ideas to get one. And most people, if you don't like their original idea, they fall apart. You know, they don't have anything else to bring because they get nervous. And it's more than just playing the instrument, you know. And I had so much fun doing that. It's some of the happiest times of my life. But that was a long time ago. But that helped me be the artist that I am now, because you learn from all these artists. They're the producers, the great engineers, the great artists, the great songwriters. All this together, I mean, you can't help but have that rub off on you a little bit.
For instance, I didn't know, actually, which is a really dumb thing, but that you actually played all the guitars on Thriller. And imagine how...
I haven't played all the guitars on Thriller. I played a lot.
80%, yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I mean, like, a lot of people, like your friend's daughter, who doesn't know that was really me playing on Beat It or whatever. I mean, Eddie gets all the love, and that's fine, because I love Eddie. He's one of my oldest friends. But I played everything else. I played bass, all the guitar parts, all the rhythm parts, all the riff parts, and all that.
How did that actually go? I mean, was it just you and the engineer in the studio recording all that stuff?
Me and Jeff and Carl put that record back together again. Eddie had already done the solo, but he cut the 2-inch tape in half so it didn't sync up.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's just back before computers. Well, yeah, he wanted to do an edit, and he edited the 2-inch tape, which had the sync in it. When you edit the sync, it doesn't sync back up again. So we had to make a copy. So Jeff Porcaro and myself put that record back together again at Sunset Sound with Umberto Gatica, where we had to play to, there was Michael's lead vocal, Eddie's guitar solo, and Michael playing the 2 and 4 backbeats through the whole song. And then Jeff played drums to that, which he did it like 2 takes. He nailed it because there was no click track to keep the time, but his time was so good he could just do that. And then I overdubbed all the guitars and the bass part to that. And then I went back in the studio with Quincy and Michael and did the and all that part. Michael had the original idea, and I kind of changed some of the voicings of that. So we worked on that together. And then Human Nature is basically a Toto song with Michael singing. That's all of us on there. Steve Porcaro wrote that. And then I did the duet with McCartney on there, Paul McCartney and Michael. No, it was Doggone Girl Is Mine. The Doggone Girl, which we kind of cracked up at the lyric, but I think Michael wrote the song. So, but it was fun to be in the studio with Paul and
I mean, that's beyond fun, man. Come on, that's legendary stuff.
Oh no, it was fantastic. And then Paul invited Jeff and I to go back to London to work with him and George Martin on this movie. And
no way.
So, and then I met David Gilmour that week, and so I mean, like my whole life. all of a sudden I'm in the room with all my heroes, hanging out and playing, jamming Beatles songs with Paul and stuff like that, and hanging out with George Martin and Jeff Emmerich, who made all the records, and being able to like ask all the silly fanboy questions you'd ever want to
What
ask.
did you ask? What did you ask?
Oh, just how certain sounds were made. I got to play the Mellotron on Strawberry Fields. I got to play the opening of Strawberry Fields on the actual Mellotron that was on the record, and hear that sound. And I started laughing with Linda McCartney. God bless her. She was wonderful. And she was cracking up, and Paul was laughing, and it was magical, I mean, it was just fantastic.
It's like living a dream, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got nothing to bitch about. Even if I've taken my punches in my personal life, I have absolutely zero to complain about in my professional life. I mean, the critics can beat me up all they want, which they really
Do you actually care?
Not anymore, but at first it kind of hurt. It's like the first punch always hurts the most, when you go, wow, what do you hate me for? What I do to you?
When I was in high school, Toto was the biggest thing. It was untouchable. It was like probably like as big as U2 or Gaga is now, whatever. No, it is really.
Wow.
Why do you laugh about that? Because that was real. It's like if you guys would release a single, you it was going to be massive.
Well, Holland's always been a really, really great place for us. It was the first place we ever had a hit record. Thanks to our big bad motherfucking Al, who we all
Was he really so important? Of course, he was a famous radio DJ.
Well, yeah, but because he was the first guy that broke us. Like, he played the record to death until it was like number one. So it was the first place in the world that we had a number one record. And our relationship with the Dutch people since then has been very close. We've always done well here. As a solo artist, as a band, Toto always sells out the arenas. We're going to come back and do it again. And we have this great relationship. I mean, our greatest hits record was number one for a year here.
That's what I said.
I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
And we were like just going, really? How's it possible?
But how is it possible that ends, actually? That you guys, I mean, for me, it was like you were this untouchable mega band.
Well,
And then after a couple of years, I was like, where did they actually go?
people kept leaving, and it was just me. And then I felt weird about even calling it Toto.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there were some good times, but then when it went wrong, it went really wrong, and I was just drinking just to fucking get through it, and that's not a way to live your life and abuse a gift like that, I lost myself in it, and it happens to people when.
And is that why you wrote
You're
a
out
song,
there.
Last
It's
Man
pushing-
Standing, actually?
That's not what that song's about, but it could be. No, Last Man Standing just means I'm coming out of the darkness. It's like, even if I'm the last man standing, I can get my shit together, and here I am again, coming out of all this and feeling good about things again.
I can imagine if you played Africa for the zillionth time that you're fed up with it.
No, man, that was a gift. That's a gift. You have a song like that. So
Do you actually realize if you play a song like that, or if you record a song like Beat It, that it's going to be incredibly big?
No, those are two songs I thought were not going to be incredibly big. I played it, I said Beat It. I went, well, really? This is the big rock song that he's going to do? I thought Eddie Solo was cool, but I thought as a song it was okay. And then Africa, I said, if this song's a hit, I'll run naked down Hollywood Boulevard.
And you did.
I waited long enough now that nobody really wants to see me run naked down Hollywood Boulevard. I've said it. I've said it a million times. I was wrong. I was wrong on both those, So I am really not the guy to ask about what the single is on any record. So, I mean, I just try the best I can with whatever's thrown in front of me.
Well, the songs that I like really well is Judgment Day is a fantastic song, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a song about people that get hung up in their false bravado of typing in what they really think that, it's like, dude, one of these days somebody's going to judge your ass. And that song was written specifically about somebody, but, let's see if they're smart enough to figure it out. But I think we all have been victimized by people writing and spewing hate for things you didn't do, and then only to find out that that wasn't true about you, and they screamed at you for nothing.
But why would you credit someone by writing a song about an asshole, actually? Why don't you shrug your shoulders and write a song about someone beautiful?
Life is full of assholes, man.
Another song that I loved was Transition.
Title track. Yeah, but that was fun because me, Steve Weingart, and CJ, I always try to write some sort of a weird muso song, but this isn't as weird as I normally go. This is more of a throwback to, like, my love for 70s prog music, you know what I mean?
Like Steely Dan meets Pink Floyd. Or...
Pink Floyd meets Genesis meets Yes meets everything, with a little bit of a tougher guitar edge on the bottom end, perhaps, but not like that's a song about, from a lyrical standpoint, the fear of death and what happens after you die, because as you get older in life, that mortality smacks you right upside the head. And all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I'm not going to live forever.
Yeah, but you're pretty immortal. Why do you laugh? Come
We're
on.
humans. None of us are immortal. Our
Come on.
souls, perhaps, depending on what you believe in. I think music.
Your sounds will be running
all the
through this
shit
planet.
all the shit that I recorded in the last, that'll be around forever. I mean, maybe in
Pieces of you.
100 years, somebody's going to punch in my name and go, who the hell was this Steve Lukather guy?
Hey, Chad Smith's on the record.
Chad's a sweetheart of a man. I love him, man. He's one of the great characters I've ever met in my life. He's a friend. And, we have a lot of the same friends. That's how we met. And he goes, I want to play on your record. I said, I want you to play on my record. And I thought it was just a passing thing, like, everybody says this shit, but he actually really meant it. And
What song is he on, actually?
Right the Wrong. And, he came in and just killed on it. I'm very honored to have him, and all the musicians that played on the album are just brilliant. And we kind of got lucky and we were able to cast certain people for certain songs, and they were available, and it was really a lot of fun to do this record from that standpoint, getting all my favorite people, or a lot of my favorite people on the record anyway.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, bro.